Radio station.
Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank on the Voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. And it's time for our interviews, presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. And at this time every week during the season, we talk with Jon Mozes of the Altoona Curve. And John, I imagine you're on the road this week with the team in Harrisburg. How are things over there this morning?
It's wonderful, actually. Still a little gray out, and we should be able to play tonight, but should be some rain rolling through this afternoon.
We just saw some of that rain today, so you might get it maybe early part of the afternoon. Hopefully you will get the game in, because the Curve they have the Senators' number, it sounds like.
Yeah, they're hot right now. You know, everything's sort of fallen into place where they're getting key hits. The team's now homered in 11 straight games. They set a franchise record in that category. They're getting great pitching. Mike Burrows was dominant last night. This is, I think, a little bit closer to what we were expecting when we saw this roster on opening day.
Now I'm going to turn it over to Jake Slobodnik for a little bit. I didn't get to introduce you, Jake, on the air. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I'm a little upset, but I'll forgive you. John, question for you, and it's been something that's sort of surrounded the Twitterverse and social media over the past few days. And it was a big contributor to the Curve, especially in these past few games. But now people are starting to think, and I just want to get a clear answer from you if you got it. Is Tucupita Marcano on his way to the Pirates right now?
He left town with us yesterday. Whether the destination was AAA or the Major League roster wasn't exactly settled when I last asked about it after the game on Wednesday. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pop up in San Diego just because he's been playing so well, and his versatility can really help.
Definitely one of the more versatile players, so he'll be going in possibly for Yoshi Sasugo. But at least we're hoping he will, because, as you said, he's been lights out this year so far. Another person who's been lights out, Mike Burrows, after his performance yesterday, just shows how good he is. A 1.9 ERA, 7 shutout innings, 2 hits, 8 Ks. This guy's on fire.
Yeah, and it's more of the same for Mike. Was talking to our pitching coach, Drew Bennis, prior to yesterday's game, and he was just saying, that changeup has come a long way for him this year, and now it's become a real weapon for him that he can use against both right-handed and left-handed batters. And he's really got 3+ pitches. That curveball was very good all day yesterday. He commanded the fastball very well. I mean, 3 base runners in 7 innings. I mean, you're going to take that performance every time out. And, I really enjoy his demeanor on the mound. He's, just got this real attitude about himself when he's out there where he just says, he's just almost announcing his presence with every pitch, and he's got such a calm demeanor that it's really fun to watch him when he gets it going like last night.
John, it seems like there's a big emphasis in the major league level, at least at the current time, that pitchers who have very effective and really knee-buckling off-speed pitches are the ones who reign supreme. Look at Roansy Contreras and Jose Quintana, just to name a few for the Pirates right now. Is that sort of the method of the way of working with Mike Burrows? Has Coach Bennis ever said that? Is that like the main focus, that they're trying to adapt him to how the game is played right now, or is it just what Mike came in with that they're just working with now?
I think the tools that Burrows has in the first place are, make him a pretty good candidate to be a major leaguer for a long time. You're talking about a fastball that's consistently in the mid-90s, a curveball that he's able to manipulate, he's able to throw it for strikes, break it out of the zone, in 2-strike counts. And, as we've talked about, that changeup has just become really a great weapon for him this year, where he can do the same thing. He can throw it for strikes, or he can throw it out of the zone against both right-handed and left-handed batters. And the major organizational philosophy with all of these guys is to just be in the zone with your best stuff all the time. And, Burrows has great stuff in the first place, and when he's in the strike zone like he was last night, a lot of teams are not going to have success against him.
Bullpen has also been pulling its weight. I mean, just last night, once again, Emmanuel Mejia coming in, getting the save, also Tanaj Thomas, doing some yeoman's work there. So the bullpen has also been coming through, keeping those strong performances by the starters alive.
Yeah, this group was pretty impressive early in the season, and it was a little strange to see, the Curve not be able to hang on to a couple leads in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. But, you're starting to see some of the fruits of that labor come to fruition. Zach Matson is a guy who was not who was not really known very well in the Pirates system, and he threw 10 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings before he got promoted to AAA on Tuesday of this week. Colin Selby has been one of the league's most dominant relievers. Unfortunately, he's down for a little while with an injury. And you look back at this series and you see 5 scoreless innings from Noe Toribio in a piggyback role on Tuesday night. Just a terrific performance from Noe. And then you get 3 base runners in 5 1/3 innings of relief in the day game on Wednesday from guys you don't really expect a whole lot from. And, I think now that there's a little bit of a friendly competition amongst those guys, they're trying to one-up each other and pitch better than the previous guy. And, that's the type of competition that I think will actually help the team over the course of the year and help these guys develop as they become competitive, not only with each other, but with themselves.
Got to be good for the camaraderie, too, I would imagine, right, Jake?
Oh, yeah, and the friendly competition, I think, adds a little bit of an extra factor to it. But we talk about all these guys in the bullpen. You named a few of the guys who have really stood out. Some of the guys that have been really underrated, in my opinion, have been J.C. Flowers and Will Cobos. Will Cobos especially because he started off the year very cold, but lately it seems like Coach Madison has been sort of turning to him in high-leverage situations, and he's been very efficient. He's calmed down a little bit. He's brought that ERA down a little bit. What, from your standpoint, have you seen from Will Cobos and some of the underrated guys in the bullpen?
Cobos, he had an injury sort of late in the season where he missed probably the last 2-3 weeks of the regular season last year at Greensboro. But he was a guy that, struck out upwards of 65 batters in around 40 innings last year at Greensboro. So the stuff is definitely there. And I think, for a lot of relievers, it'll take 3, 4, or 5 innings for them to finally, get the rhythm of coming into the game, once you're over an injury. And, for Will, I think we've sort of passed that point where, ignoring sort of his first 5 or 6 innings of the season with Altoona, he's actually pitched very well. And, his fastball has great ride to it. He's got good feel for his curveball. And you're right, he's not a guy that we had high expectations for before the season, and he has just pitched very well recently. And, you mentioned Flowers as well. JC has worked in that sort of length role to start the season where he's working, 3-4 innings at a time as a piggyback on starters. And, he's just pitched well enough that he's now working himself into some of those leverage opportunities where he can pitch when it's a close game late. And, we saw that with the 2-inning save on Wednesday. He's got some really interesting stuff. And, I think as we look forward this year, some of those guys, as they hang around longer and some of the back-end guys maybe get promoted as the season goes on, you're going to see guys like Cobos and Flowers and eventually Brad Case who are going to step into more important roles.
We're rounding third, heading home for this interview segment, so let's look ahead to next week, the next week's series, which is going to be back at PNG Field. A lot of interesting promotions. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of fans out for Star Wars night coming next week with a fireworks show. Also the mini statuette of PNG Field, I think, is going to bring a lot of people out. But I think the Curve has really topped itself as far as out there promotions with Conspiracy Theory Night. This is loony. Where do you guys come up with these?
Our director of promotions and marketing and special events, Mike Kessling, he's got a lot of ideas in his head, no doubt about it. And I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous about some of the things that Mike might have planned for Wednesday night. So I think it's a great reason to come out to the game because it's going to be a lot of trivia questions. Is this real? Is this not? Maybe we'll even find Jimmy Hoffa. Who knows?
I can actually see the ushers walking around in Men in Black type suits.
Yeah, it's looking forward to a great week here. We've got fireworks Friday and Saturday and Sunday night coming on this homestand. It's starting to finally feel like summer, isn't it? Now that you've got kids are starting to get out of school, you got the holiday weekend coming this weekend, and we'll have temperatures in the high 70s and 80s next week, and it should be a fun week for baseball.
I saw Josh's ears perk up when you said trivia. I want to take it to the on-field standpoint here as we close out the show. The Harrisburg Senators, second to last in the division. Bowie Bay Sox, who you guys face next, are the last in the division. This is really a time for the Curve to strike, and if they get hot at the right moment, they could make them, they could really turn around from the start of the year where they started slow and sort of make a playoff contender for themselves. What do you think the ceiling is for the Curve this year?
Yeah, I think the playoffs are definitely on the table. We're sort of circling June 26th because, we're working with a split season schedule this year. So the team that's in first place on June 26th, that's the end of the first half, is going to clinch a playoff spot. So I am sort of wondering if maybe the Curve don't have enough time to make up all that ground to get to Akron. I believe it's 4 games or maybe even 5 games that the Curve are out of first place entering play today. So the schedule shakes out in a way that's conducive to them climbing the standings a little bit here. Curve have played well against Harrisburg this week, a chance to win 4, potentially even 5 games out of this series this week. And then, as you said, we play Bowie next week, so theoretically if you pick up 4, perhaps 5 more next week, then you're in a situation where you're looking at, say, a 9-3 run, and that will make up some ground in the standings, and then we'll see how it shakes from there. We'll play Erie after that, who's second in the division, and then we'll go to Reading, a team that has not played very well in the Eastern Division. So, the Curve have an opportunity here to take advantage of some teams that maybe aren't as talented as them, and they could climb their way into the postseason here at the end of the first half.
No matter what happens, I'll tell you it'll be another great day in Curve PA today whenever they take on Harrisburg. Thanks a lot for joining us, John.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you next week.
Thank you. Talk to you next week. And Jake, thanks a lot for joining us for the segment.
Josh, always a pleasure to talk Curve baseball with you and John.
All right.
Curve baseball with you and John.
All right.